Okay. Introducing Todd Double Black Diamond Hall. Todd, what's going on? How you doing, man?
Doing great. Thanks for having me on, man. Glad to be here. Story about when I was young. I used to ski so hard and so fast when I got better at it that I had no energy left at the end of the day. Okay, I would just leave it all on the hill. Okay, and one time I was probably about 8 or 9, and I fell over. I fell down and crashed, and I fell asleep right there on the slope. I was so tired that when I hit the snow, I just fell asleep. And my dad was like 100 yards ahead of me, just watching me. You know, it was the last run of the day. So he goes hoofing it up to me. He thought I broke my neck or something because I wasn't moving, and he just woke me up and I got down the hill. But yeah, that's an interesting story about skiing. When I was little, I would just leave it all on the mountain, and I'd get so sick I'd throw up, you know, because of the altitude and not drinking enough water back when they thought water was bad for you. And so you got your college degree from UNC in teaching. So I want to know, you know, what motivated you to want to do that? How'd you end up with a teaching degree?
My grandmother was a special education teacher in Boulder Valley School District, so I was able to go to school with her as a little kid growing up and seeing what that experience would be like as a teacher. And during time, she would pass me down to the physical education department, and I'd be able to talk with those teachers since I was a little kid growing up. So then I learned that out of all the teaching opportunities, that one was the most exciting for me. Going into college, what was your college experience like? What was that like going for you?
Well, I went to University of Colorado Boulder, right? And, you know, I was a business major. I did a lot of drinking at an early age. We'll get into that later a little bit maybe, but I was drinking too much to function at the college level. And it took me several years to get through college. I took some time off. But yeah, I was the one at the parties who was still standing when everyone else was out, and not proud of it, but that's kind of the way it was. So my overall college experience initially was, you know, it was probably different than most just because I was drinking so much. Sometimes I'd tip the bottle before a race, and it's kind of hard to ski through the gates when you're seeing 2 gates, right? So so that had an early end to it as well. I flamed out with that pretty early on, but those are just a few things about my college experience.
I want to ask this humbly and respectfully. Can you explain what your recovery been like since that has occurred?
Yeah, absolutely. So I mentioned earlier, you know, I was drinking at an early age. I quit drinking when I was 24. All right, and on January 4th, 1990, it was 4 days after University of Colorado lost to Notre Dame in the Orange Bowl for the championship. And I remember it specifically. But when I quit, I had the DTs, you know, I had the delirium tremens with the hallucinations and things, and I went into a seizure, and it was pretty ugly. And I'm grateful that happened, because otherwise I might have quit and just picked up the bottle again later. But because it was so dramatic, that time I quit drinking. That was all I needed to quit, right? I said, I don't want anything to do with this anymore. And I was clean and sober for almost 25 years. I never messed with drugs, not even in high school or college. Never did drugs at all. I was a drinker, and that was it. You've coached high school football at Longmont High, and I want to know a little bit about just some of the relationships with the kids, you know, with those young men that you were coaching at the time, and you know, what was that like?
Yeah, that was one of my favorite experiences throughout coaching is at Longmont High School football, is to learn under the coach that I was taught under. So I understood the values and traditions that he wanted to instill into those kids. So then I understood to be able to pass that down to the next generation of ball players through there. That meant a lot to me because those coaches that I grew up with, they meant so much, and they believed in me. They put me in positions to be successful when I was younger and gave me an opportunity. So then when I had an opportunity when I grew up a little bit in college, I was able to go back and help coach for the football team at Longmont for 3 seasons. Explain hunting and fishing. How did you become an outdoorsman as well?
Well, it was passed down through my father. I love to fish, and again, this happened in Kansas. My dad took me fishing for the first time, and we had these cane poles. You know, it wasn't even a rod and reel; it was just split cane, and with the line tied on the end of it, and a bobber, right, and a worm, of course, worm, right. So you know, and he took us to his mother's land that they kept in the family all those years, and there was a little spring-fed brook that wound through the pasture, and then it ended up in a big pond in the corner of the pasture. So I'm watching, and sure enough, that bobber goes thump, and when that bobber went under, it was just like something happened inside me. It was just this thrill that, yeah, there's a fish on the other end of that thing doing this, making the bobber go under. And I'll never forget the sight of that bobber go under. It was fluorescent orange with a fluorescent yellow stripe around the bottom of it. The most memorable concert you've ever been to, and why it was memorable?
I'm going to go like this. The most memorable venue's got to be Red Rocks. I really love that amphitheater. It's so much fun to have a concert at night there. Oh, it's something I'll always remember. But my favorite one's got to be Country Jam. It's a week-long concert down near Grand Junction, and they just have some of the best country artists come out, and it's like you party with your friends during the summer for a week. You've been out in the wilderness though a lot, and when did you realize that it's actually dangerous in there? Can you give me an example?
I got caught in a snowstorm once elk hunting, and I was grateful to get back to camp. You know, you think you can track yourself back, and the snow keeps falling, and you can't find your tracks, and it gets dark, and you're not sure where you are. And I was pretty close to digging a snow cave just to try to survive the night, and then I saw somebody up on a road.
Ask you, what's the biggest difference from growing up in your era to the kids in today's era?
It's all this, right? It's all about the phone and the electronics and the video games, and everything is digital, and everything is they're inside, they're indoors now, right? I mean, when I was a kid, we'd go out and we'd do things outside. We'd shoot sparrows with our BB gun, or we'd shoot off Estes rockets, man, or we'd go down to the park for a pickup game in soccer, or ride bikes, motocross bikes, or motorcycles. I had a motorcycle when I was a kid. We were outside doing stuff, and now the kids they're just pent up indoors. The dichotomy between competition and camaraderie, was amazing to me.
There you have it, episode 6. We got Todd, Double Black Diamond Hall. Thank you for coming out. That meant a lot to me.
Yeah, all right.